Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and another shop adventure here in my metalwork shop in the north of the Netherlands, February 2021. And let's look back on this month. It's now the 5th of March, so I did plan to put this video out a little bit sooner, but I had some other challenges that I need to deal with. But here it is, and yeah, let's have a look at this last month and what happened here in the shop. First, here was the weather. It was, yeah, some commented in my last video that I was working on precision with the Okuma here, and you can still see it. You can see my breath, and you know it's cold in here. And that was not a good combination. Yeah, that's true. But the shop is temporary and I plan to keep the machines a little bit longer. But the weather here in the Netherlands in February was quite crazy. We started with very hard wind and snow, and it was really cold, -10. And I even got some snow in that with the wind that went into my shop. So what do Dutch people do when it's getting cold outside? We go ice skating, speed skating. So yeah, that was quite fun and enjoyed the winter weather with the sun, but still cold. Went with my girlfriend, but also one time with my parents and girlfriend. So that was really nice days outside. But 1 week later the sun came out and it was really nice weather and almost 20 degrees. So there was 30 degrees difference in temperature in just 1 week. That was quite crazy. I do have a heater here in the shop, but the problem is that the floor is concrete, it's not isolated, and I'm not here every day. And when I turn the heater on, then after like 10 minutes, then the moisture in the air will be too much for the cold machines, and they will condensate water on the machines and they start to rust. So not a good option. So best option is extra layers of clothing and work a little bit harder, and yeah, good to go. So the other one that I'm still working on here is the Okuma, and I almost finished the DRO on the Z-axis. I will put a video out on that one next week. But yeah, that went alright, and the next step is making the covers for the linear scales on that. But the Okuma is functional again, and I can use it still with the original tool post. And yeah, I do plan to make another tool post and mount a parrot holder on a solid tool post. In the last month I made a few extra designs as well for the solid tool post. I wasn't sure what would be the best design, and I already made up my mind. There were some doubts that I would make it offset, because the cross slide is normally when you turn on smaller stock, then the cross slide is quite shifted a lot on the opposite side of the machine. So you want enough bearing on the cross slide, enough contact. So if you offset it a little bit, then you get a little bit more surface contact on the cross slide. That would be a good idea, but yeah, I wasn't happy with the design, and yeah, I did decide to go for a regular round tool post that you see in this picture. The other thing is that with the parrot turret head, that's a really nice turret head, the one that I bought had a little bit problem with the bearing surface. I need to regrind that, but I had the opportunity to buy another parrot head. So I now have two of these really nice heads, and yeah, I can use one maybe in the back of the cross slide, so I have a tool post in the back and at the front. That would be useful maybe, but also I can also use the other head mounted on the original compound slide. And if I then need to change it, if I need to turn taper, I can still use the same tooling, and I don't need to work with shims to set the height for every tool that I'm using. And another interesting thing that I have for the Okuma is a hydraulic tracer. I bought that one a few weeks after I bought the machine, and I wasn't sure that it would fit at first. The first month that I had it just laying in the shop, and I tested it once, it didn't fit. But with some help of Instagram friends and some searching on the internet, it turned out that the bottom plate of the hydraulic unit was not original, and when I took that off, it did fit on the cross slide. So that's really cool. So I also have a hydraulic tracer that I can use on the lathe. So if I have a template with a certain shape, then I can use that, or use that to turn tapers as well. But the fun thing is I now do have that, but I don't have the mounting attachment on the back of the machine, so I need to make that. But I use the linear scale, the DRO scale. I use the holes for this attachment to mount the linear scale on the Z-axis. So yeah, just need to work my way around that, but that will be fine. Also didn't came with the hydraulic pump itself, but I do have a few of those that I probably can use. Yeah, so that's all about Okuma. And yeah, one thing is maybe you see it in the shop and you recognize it if you know the shop a little bit. I put the lathe a little bit on an angle. The Okuma is not meant to be put directly against the wall, and there was an idea from somebody who came over last week to pick up the Clarkson, Lester, from Lester Cycles. He lives in Amsterdam. By the way, if you're interested in handmade bicycle frames, then you should check him out on Instagram. It's real cool, and he has a really nice workshop with also an Okuma but an LK. So that was quite cool and nice to talk about the machines. And also he bought my Clarkson MK1. So yeah, that was nice to talk with him. But he suggested that I should put the machines on an angle, and I tested it out today. And yeah, my OCD in my head still has some problem with it, but I think I will be alright. And yeah, I quite like it, because now I can walk around it a little bit, and there's still enough space here in between to walk to the other machines and walk around here. And the other benefit is, and I will show you guys later, but the grinding machine, the Jones & Shipman, also is on an angle now. And now the grinding dust, I will have a dust extraction, but there's always grinding dust flying mostly in one direction, and that is now facing the wall and not facing the other machines. And I can also use the large bore here in the headstock, 50mm into the headstock. If I need to turn really long axles, then I can just stick them out on here and have no problem with the longer length. So you can see the machine is placed on an angle in the shop. Still have enough room to walk through here, and also some space to go behind the machine and work on the cabinet if I need to, and the grinder is now on an angle over here. I still got it on these wooden pellets to move it around a little bit, and this machine still needs work on the hydraulic system. I will do that after the Okuma is finished, and then I will have a look at the tackle S1. I did try to connect it, but I ran into a few electrical problems. First, some wires are damaged a little bit, and with transport somebody, and you can see it, it's underneath, somebody set it onto the cable, so the cable was totally destroyed. So I turned on the machine, or turned the power on, and the lights went out. So that was not good. The other one is, just have a look at these wires. These cables are so old that the whole wire just breaks off like this. So I guess the whole machine needs some new wires. But the parts are getting a little bit cleaner. I had some help from my dad, who came over and helped me clean a little bit. So that was nice. Thanks, Dad. Here are the different 3D printed prototypes of the solid 2 post, and the Shaolin twins still doing fine. So these are the two parrot holders that I have, and one, maybe you can see it, is a little bit rough on the surface here, and that is normally for bearing. As you can see. So I need to work on that a little bit, but I got two, so I have the time to do that. And the other one is fine. It's not as pretty as this one, but it's inside in better condition. The other project that I did 2 weeks ago was a knife repair. It was a Martini knife that was from a friend of mine, and he got it as a present from his dad, so it has a little bit more emotional value than just money. And yeah, he used the knife quite a lot. He's a real outdoor guy and a little bit bushcraft, so he quite often used it, but then he broke it and asked me if I could repair it. So that was a nice challenge, and challenge accepted. Used the Shaolin mill and the high-speed head to mill out the tang. It was a hidden tang inside, and that was I think the most challenging was milling this deep with only a 3mm mill. I got to 26 millimeters, but I did lost two end mills in the process, but both were my fault. I had one time I had the speed was not right, and the other time I just moved too far and bumped it on the side, and yeah, with a very long stick out on 3mm, that was not a good option. And I didn't want to use coolant for the wood that was outside on there. So yeah, just taking my time, and finally I got it out. I cleaned everything, welded it, heating it up before a little bit to have not much temperature difference, but still keeping the blade cool and not going above the tempering temperature. That went alright, and then shaped it on the belt grinder, and yeah, glued it in, drilled a pin and pinned it through the handle to make sure it was a good solid fit. And after some sanding, polishing and sharpening, the knife was ready again, and yeah, maybe even in better, stronger condition than original. I did had some nice comments about from Martini itself, but I did suggest to them that maybe a little bit wider tang should benefit this knife. I think the tang is really small. For carving it's okay, but a little bit heavier work, I think Martini it's a really cool knife, but it does need a little bit wider tang. In January I talked about goals for 2021, and one of them was doing some collaborations, and I do plan to do a few, at least the next few months. And somebody reached out here locally, and that was Wouter. He lives here nearby in Groningen, and he's a cool guy. He works with electronics and Arduino projects, but also has some experience on the lathe and the mill, and he's building his own CNC router at the moment. So if you like that kind of stuff, then check him out on Instagram. But yeah, we talked a little bit about some possibilities to work on a project together, and decided that maybe a Arduino project combined with some lathe work would be cool. So we will build a Arduino project for the lathe, and yeah, I let you guys guess a little bit what that will be, but I think it will be cool. We're not hurrying, but someday this year you will see a nice Arduino project that we built together. So yeah, with that, that was it for this month video, and yeah, hope you liked the updates, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.